Congratulations on David Copperfield. I think you did a great job of turning the Victorian era into a totally different spectacle.
Oh,
And
thank
I
you very
think
much. Thank you.
in the why did you want to do that?
Well,
Turn it into
yeah, I just felt, look, I wanted people watching the film to feel that at any point they could walk into it, that they weren't watching the past. For the people on the screen, they're in their present day. So I didn't want it to be all mud and cobwebs and dark. I wanted London to feel like Manhattan, the Industrial Revolution, modern, their futures ahead of them, exciting. It can be frightening as well, but it's exciting. And also, I just felt the themes in the story are so relevant, not just about, you know, status and poverty and wealth existing side by side, but things like, who am I? Where do I belong? What's my identity? David goes through this identity crisis, being called different names by different people. And just psychologically, it felt like such a modern story that I wanted, without setting it in the present day, keeping it in the detail and the color of the 1840s. It should feel immediate and present and alive in front of people rather than an artifact in the past.
in a way Dev Patel represents. I mean, he's so full of optimism.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's amazing. Can you talk a little about that
He,
aspect
he,
of?
he was the only person I could think of to play David, because Dev, I've seen him play awkward teenagers, and then in Lion be very strong and charismatic. He can play romantic, he can play dramatic, he can play funny, slapstick, physical comedy, mimicry, and he always has this empathy, these kind of generous. You just want him to succeed. You want whoever he's playing to do well, and so I was very glad that he said yes, because I really didn't have a plan B. I didn't have anyone else in my head to play David. And there was a magic moment when we were doing the camera tests, and Dev appeared in front of the camera in his costume and his hair and everything. And it just felt perfect. It just felt how I'd imagined it.
So Armando, how important is it for you to be free when you work? And some people consider that your work is productively irreverent.
Well, I just want it to be feel natural. I said to everyone, crew and cast at the start, let's pretend no one has made a period drama before, and therefore there are no rules. We'll just shoot it our way. So when you put, a Victorian costume on, don't speak like this, just speak like this. Just be yourself. And I felt that would then convey the spirit of the book, which that I was led to making the film because I loved the energy and the inventiveness within the book. So I thought, as long as we can preserve that and we can show that, and therefore it has to feel immediate. It has to feel in front of you, not a specialized thing.
I think the whole movie feels like a contemporary story, but it's like going to the opera, but the opera is
Yeah.
part of who you are. It was
Yes.
something like
Yes, I
that, I
wanted
think.
that. The film starts with David coming out in a theater and looking like he's about to read. Then he turns around and steps into the backdrop, and before you know it, he's in a field, and present at his own birth. Going to the house where he's born. And I wanted that. I wanted the audience to feel that they were getting a troupe of performers were on in front of them telling their story, and then you can get up and join in with them. So I wanted a lot of the effects to feel real, not CGI, but actually feel physically real, so that backdrops just fall or things just blow away and you see the next thing in front of you.
So Armando, what's the biggest satisfaction that you get from storytelling?
Um, and that's interesting. If I can get across and get in on the screen what it is that I'm sort of seeing in my head, then, because it's always perfect in your head. Um, if I can get anywhere near that on the screen, then I'm happy. But I also like to be surprised. I choose people, actors and performers, who are happy to improvise slightly, because I always want to see something. that I haven't written or that I haven't told them to do. I want them to try and come up with something that they bring to the story. So if I'm surprised by something, that always feels good.
Eh, we're starting the award season in the film industry, not only in Hollywood but all over. And David Copperfield is one of the favorites for Golden Globes and Best Comedy Musical.
Yeah.
How that kind of news makes you feel, and if you can explain how important it would be for you, and if you're doing a campaign.
It's always exciting. We when I did my first film, In the Loop, we got nominated for adapted screenplay in the Oscars, and it was so out of the blue and amazingly hilariously surprising. We couldn't quite believe it even when we got there. We were all given this stretch limo to go to the Oscars in, and we were just laughing and laughing at being in a stretch limo. Then it dawned on me that people hire stretch limos to pretend to be doing what we were doing, which was going to the Oscars. So then we took it serious from then on. Look, I just want people to see the film. So if getting the nominations or considered helps people see the film, that's fantastic. But ultimately, it's about, I think you've got to be happy with the film, really. I'm happy with the film I made, and I would say that's reward enough. But obviously, if we get any nominations, that's absolutely fine. But it's not about that. It's about the film, and I just want people to enjoy the film and connect with it.
But recognition is nice. You've been recognized for Veep. You have a BAFTA, Emmys.
Yes, I mean the Oscar nomination for In the Loop meant I then got meetings which led to Veep. So obviously, these things make a difference in terms of I think they affect how easy it is to then make the next project, or they can influence how ambitious you want to be with your next project. And
let me ask you, what about the? I was going to ask, I forgot.
No, don't worry.
No, I wanted to know what was the impact of the pandemic in the releasing of the movie.
Well,
I saw it on on a streaming platform, but I know that people saw it in theaters too.
We did in the UK. It came out a year ago, so January, February of last year. So it was before the pandemic, but it's affected our release worldwide, really. Some countries have been able to show it in small numbers of theaters, and others have had to go into streaming. I'm always, I love going to the cinema. I love being there with an audience, that collective viewing experience. I love that, and I miss it, and I want it to come back. But I also want people to see the film, and it is a sort of film, especially after what we've all been through. It's a film about hope and about community and who our real neighbors are and how our real family are, and it celebrates that. So if it's a film that people watch as a family or as a group at home, then that's great as well.
Armando, do you think the way we have changed the way we entertain ourselves? Mm-hmm. Movie theaters, do you see movie theaters as part of a different era? Maybe that's too radical, but
no, I think they'll come back, because I think once this pandemic does go away, we'll want to get out. We'll want to go and eat out. We'll want to go and visit people we haven't seen. We'll want to go to the theater. We'll want to go and see a film. I think those things will come back. And also, art has got us through this. At home in lockdown, we've listened to music, we've read books, we've watched films, we've watched television. It's so important. It's preserved our sanity that I think, when lockdown is lifted, I think we will want to go back and celebrate it afresh.